What did Parker learn from this fight? Anyway, I'm Teekosey, and this is with just 15 defeats. Hey guys, Teekosey here for another round of with just 15 defeats. In today's show, we're going to be discussing Joseph Parker versus Solomon Haumono. Big KO victory happened last week. I've been away for a couple of weeks. If you've watched my Deontay Wilder video, you would have heard the story about my trip away and that I've been busy. So we're a little bit behind schedule. But I wanted just to talk about this fight because obviously Joseph Parker's just hot talent at the moment. Hot talent. So if you're going to like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new to this channel, you need to click on that subscribe button ASAP, because obviously we're going to have all of the previews coming up in the coming year of all the big heavyweight fights. And we just need to get involved. So please leave me some comments. Let's get involved. Let's discuss the fight. Let's discuss the fights that are coming up. Just get involved. So, as I say, Joseph Parker, stoppage of Haumono. Just going to go through the rounds as I like to do in a review video. So, first round. Parker really started as he meant to go on, really. And the first round was a bit of a jab fest. He largely was able to keep away from Haumono with clever little side steps, step back, with the exception of 2 or 3 attacks from Haumono where he just basically tried to jump him. And there was a little altercation about halfway through the round where Parker landed a little combination. And you just saw a look on the face of Haumono. It summed it up. And I've spoken about this in the past in a number of my videos, that sometimes there's just a single punch and it can seem insignificant, but it changes the mentality of a fighter. Now, I can't think of many examples off the top of my head, but there's been a few where I've mentioned this. One of them was the David Haye versus Josiah fight. We know it was a joke fight. But if you watch that fight through again, within a few seconds of the fight, David Haye lands a huge bomb. Josiah came in close, and he managed to just... He fully extended the full power. And whilst Josiah didn't go down from it, I'm 100% positive that his mindset changed. I believe that Josiah went into that fight thinking that he could do something, that he wasn't just going to be a walkover, that he could win that fight. And then he took that fatal punch and it completely changed his mindset. And he just didn't want to go on. He didn't want to go on. And his whole aim was to survive, and we know what happened in that fight. But anyway, in this fight, there was just a look on the face of Haumono, and I just thought this is going to be one of those moments where he had confidence going into the fight. He thought maybe he could cause an upset, but then he realised, shit, I'm in with someone legit. I'm not going to be able to take the power. I've never felt power like this before. The speed is too much for me. But and how that kind of went forward was that towards the end of that round, Haumono went a bit wild. He went a bit crazy. He started throwing a few crazy wild punches. Didn't really get anywhere. And I kind of thought that was going to be it. I thought this is going to be early. It's going to be decisive. But we moved into the second round, and early on we saw some snappy hooks and jabs from Parker. There were triple, quadruple. He was really going to work, and as I said in the first round, really the only way that Haumono was getting involved was when he was basically launching his whole body at Parker and trying to land a few attacks. He was pressing. Now, the whole of the fight he was pressing Parker, but obviously Parker was able to maneuver and counter. And really, this round really exposed Haumono. Real lack of quality. Moving into the third round, and as I say, as usual, Haumono was pressing forward. JP was countering very well. And Haumono just kept coming forward. And see, this is the difference between top quality and average, standard sort of level guys. Haumono didn't really change. He didn't change. He just kept on plodding forward, trying to land shots with a lack of accuracy, really. And whereas I think a more high quality, more intelligent, classy fighter may have changed tactic and would have thought, do you know what? I'm getting nowhere pressing forward. I'm going to step back for a second and see whether Parker comes onto me. Didn't do it. And really, as the round progressed, Parker landed to pick him off. He began to pick him off with left, rights, uppercuts, a wide range of shots, really. Despite that, Haumono, when he did get close, he did land 2 or 3 shots in that round. And ironically, it was probably his best round, possibly, in terms of landing better shots. He obviously didn't win any of the rounds. We moved into the fourth round, and if you look at it as a whole, it was similar to the other rounds. Haumono was pressing, JP was moving out of range, jabbing, countering. But he did land an uppercut very early on, and I think you saw in Parker's mindset, he realised, you know what, he's so open to this. He is so open to this uppercut. And then just, 30-40 seconds later, he landed a combination which ended in an uppercut, and it was heavy. And Haumono, he dropped. It was real heavy drop. But surprisingly, he managed to bounce back onto his knee almost immediately. But the referee counted him out, and that was it. It was a count-out stoppage win for Parker. What I will say is that I thought the referee counted incredibly quickly. It was by the time he started putting his hands out to kind of show Haumono, he was already at 6. He was already at 6, 7, 8, and it was Haumono jumped up at 10. I think he was too quick. It was a too quick account, and Haumono said, "Look, I was ready to go on." In all probability, Parker would have either stopped him in that round or probably would have done the job in the second round. And I think it probably would have been a convincing KO that we all like to see. But it was very, very quick. I don't think the referee was that clear initially. And then he was almost like embarrassed to have counted him out. Because it wasn't like, he didn't wave his hands. He went to the corner and went, "Oh yeah, I counted to 10. He was almost trying to get, he was almost like he was trying to get permission from Haumono's trainer to say, yeah, we're going to call it off anyway. I didn't like that. I thought that was poor from the referee. But anyway, it's another Parker win. A fight that he didn't really need, to be honest. It wasn't a step up. I don't think it was a step up from the guys that he's fought recently. Obviously, we know that he fought Takam in quite a close fight, a very close fight in my opinion. and he's been fighting relatively low-level guys before that and pensioners. But I think Haumono. Look, let's be honest. The guy was limited. The guy was a very limited boxer. He spent majority of his adult life as a rugby player, and then he's moved into boxing a couple of times. Hasn't really had much success. I think they tried to persuade the public that this was a decent fight. They kind of engineered Haumono's rankings to kind of imply that he was, I don't know, ranked or whatever. Clearly not a ranked guy. But it was always going to go one way. I can't remember quite what we said in the preview, but I believe what I said was that Haumono's got terrible movement and terrible defence, and that was basically going to be the story of the fight. And realistically, as we've gone through, Haumono was pressing forward, eating shots, not really capable of landing his own shots, and really only had one form of attack, which was to launch himself onto Parker. So from that respect, I don't think Parker's learned anything. It has definitely not going to be a learning fight. I think I even mentioned in the preview video that he wasn't going to learn anything. Realistically, he needed to go in with someone a bit tougher, because we spoke about Parker's defensive vulnerabilities. The fact that he got tired and changed and moved away from his own game plan because Sakan was able to wear him down in that fight. This was never going to happen in this fight, because he was going to be able to box and move quite competently against this guy, who I would have expected Parker to have knocked out even a few years ago, even 2-3 years ago, fairly easily. So Parker, where does he go from here? Now, obviously, because I'm a week behind, I believe it's been announced that he's going to be fighting Alexander Dimitrenko. So we'll obviously have a full preview video on that, but I would expect Parker to win that fight anyway. Dimitrenko is okay. He's been in the game for a long time. He's lost his only 2 notable fights. So that's one thing to consider. But anyway, I think it's actually a good fight. I think it's a good fight because Dimitrenko's size and stamina, all those things. I think he's going to pose a few more questions, but I believe that that Parker will win it. Obviously, we spoke about Dimitrenko quite a bit on when he was in theory scheduled to fight Shannon the Cannon Briggs, but that was a whole lot of BS. But yeah, so Parker gets another one. He moves up the rankings slightly up. I believe BoxRec classify him as A. I can't remember where he was just a few weeks ago, but it seems to have slightly changed over the course of the few weeks. He's just below Ortiz, Pulev, Wilder. But yeah, so again, just to summarise it, it wasn't a brilliant fight. It was a nice final shot combination from Parker. I believe that he's going to move forward. As we say, he's going to be fighting Dimitrenko, which I'm pleased about, because all that talk about Anthony Joshua and all these people, too early. Dimitrenko is the level he's at. That's what people need to understand. That's the level he's at, and he will slowly progress. I don't want to rush him. He's going to get Dimitrenko, and then maybe next year, or yeah, I suppose probably early next year now, as this fight is, I think, October. It's probably the beginning of next year. I'd like to see him involved with some of these guys that are, more of these guys that are in the top 10. Now, just quickly looking at BoxRec, names like Scott, Glashkov, Chisora, possibly even Lucas Browne, Duhaupas Molina, good old Charles Martin, Stavern. These would be good fights for him leading up towards title shots. Wilders, Klitschko, Fury, Joshua, these guys. It's possible that they could position him now for the Lucas Browne's old title, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. But anyway, if you've enjoyed the video, remember to give me a big thumbs up. Remember to leave your comments because I really want to hear from you. I want to get everyone involved, and we'll see you in the next round.